Darkness, concrete, breathing. Say her name. The voice belonged to Major Keira Ashford. Calm, cold, the kind of calm that comes after fire burns everything else away. Master Sergeant Cole Mercer knelt on the floor, zip ties cutting into his wrists, blood from his nose painting dark lines down his chin. His eyes showed something they hadn't shown in years: fear. He spat, the sound echoed in the empty room. Fuck you. A click, sharp, final, the sound of a recorder switching on. I can do this all night, Sergeant, can you? The camera would have caught it then, the first crack in Mercer's armor, the way his jaw tightened, the way his breathing changed. Eva Strand, you remember her? Silence stretched between them like wire ready to snap. You should, you killed her 8 months ago. Tonight, you're going to tell me how. 78 hours earlier, the Mojave Desert was already trying to kill anything stupid enough to breathe. The sun hadn't cleared the mountains yet, but the air at Fort Irwin's main gate shimmered at 98 degrees. By noon it would hit 115. By afternoon, the brass would be too hot to touch, and the sand would burn through boot leather. Major Keira Ashford drove through the gate in a rental sedan that had seen better decades. The AC worked when it felt like it. Right now, it didn't feel like it. The gate guard checked her credentials. Army specialist, young enough to still think the uniform meant something. His eyes flicked to her left shoulder. Navy SEAL trident, gold, worn smooth in places from years of wear. Welcome to Fort Irwin, ma'am. You're headed to Blackstone Range. Building 7 is your quarters. Blackstone, the word tasted like copper. She'd heard that name once before, 9 months ago, in a phone call that started with the words, "I regret to inform you." "I'm aware, soldier." The guard handed back her ID, hesitated. "You're replacing Lieutenant Strand's old slot." Her face could have been carved from the same rock as the mountains behind them. No expression, no recognition, just the flat stare of someone who'd learned not to show what they felt. "I know." She drove through, didn't look back. In the rearview mirror, the guard watched her go. Something about her eyes had bothered him. They looked like someone who'd already died once and decided to keep walking anyway. Fort Irwin sprawled across the desert like a wound that refused to heal. Buildings squatted low under the sun. Everything painted the same color as sand and surrender. The National Training Center, they called it. The box. The place where soldiers came to learn how to fight in hell before they deployed to the real thing. Keira had been to the real thing. Helmand Province, 2019. She still carried pieces of it in her chest. Literally. The X-rays showed metal fragments too close to her heart to remove. The doctors said she was lucky. She'd stopped believing in luck around the same time she stopped believing in happy endings. Building 7 sat at the edge of the main compound. 3 stories of sun-bleached concrete and windows that looked like dead eyes. She parked in the shade that wasn't there and grabbed her duffel. Everything she owned fit in one bag. That was intentional. People who traveled light could disappear fast. The heat hit her like a physical thing when she stepped out. The kind of heat that made you understand why ancient people invented hell. She'd trained in heat like this, fought in it, nearly died in it. Didn't make it any easier. The lobby smelled like industrial cleaner and old coffee. A bulletin board near the entrance showed the training schedule. Names listed in neat rows. Her name at the bottom. Major K. Ashford, SEAL Instructor Rotation, 90-day TDY. 90 days, 3 months, long enough to do what she came to do, long enough to finish it, or long enough to end up like Eva. A sound behind her, footsteps stopping, someone trying not to breathe too loud. Keira turned, slow, controlled, the way predators turn when they smell prey. A young woman stood in the hallway. early 20s, specialist rank, Signal Corps insignia, Asian American, hair pulled back military tight, eyes that had seen something they couldn't unsee. She held a spray bottle of cleaner in one hand like she'd forgotten it was there. Those eyes locked on Keira's face, went wide, too wide. "You're," the woman's voice cracked, "you look like." "Like who?" "Lieutenant Strand." The woman took a step back. "Same eyes, same way you stand, I thought." Keira let the silence do the work, counted to 5. Let the woman fill in the blanks herself. "Did you know her?" The woman nodded, too fast, the kind of nod that comes with guilt. "I was her roommate, I found her." The words hung in the air like smoke. Found her, past tense. Found her in the shower with her wrists opened. Found her cold, found her too late. "I'm sorry for your loss." Standard words, expected words, the kind of thing people say when they don't know what else to say. But Keira watched the woman's face when she said them, watched the way her eyes filled, the way her hands shook. It wasn't suicide. The woman whispered it, like saying it too loud might kill her too. "I know it wasn't." "What makes you say that?" The woman looked around, quick, nervous, like the walls had ears. "Not here, they're always listening." "Who's they?" The woman backed away, shook her head. "I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. Welcome to Blackstone, ma'am. I'm Specialist Iris Chen, Signal Corps. If you need anything with communications or tech systems, I can help." Keira filed the name away. The offer, the fear. "Thank you, Specialist." Iris turned in half, ran down the hallway, left the smell of fear behind her. Keira stood alone in the lobby. On the bulletin board, someone had pinned a memorial notice. Black border, formal language. In memory of Lieutenant Eva Strand, 1995 to 2024. Dedicated officer, beloved colleague, gone too soon. Gone too soon. Like it was an accident, like cancer or a car crash. Not like someone had held her down and opened her veins and watched her bleed out. Keira reached up, touched the paper. Her finger traced Eva's name. Eva Marie, middle name after their foster mother. The only mother either of them had ever really known. They hadn't been born sisters. Life had made them sisters. The system had thrown them together in the same group home when Keira was 14 and Eva was 12. Two broken girls in a house full of broken things. Keira had been the fighter. Eva had been the dreamer. Keira taught Eva how to throw a punch. Eva taught Keira how to hope. 22 years of sisterhood. 22 years of Sunday phone calls and birthday cards and promises to visit. 22 years ending in a bathtub 8 months ago. The paper crinkled under her finger. She pulled her hand back, took the notice down, folded it carefully, put it in her pocket over her heart. Gone too soon. Wrong taken, murdered, and covered up. Building 7, room 12, her quarters. She climbed 3 flights of stairs in the kind of heat that made breathing feel like work. The hallway on the 3rd floor stretched long and dim, fluorescent lights flickering, doors numbered in fading paint. Room 12 had been Eva's room once. Someone in admin had a sick sense of humor, or maybe they just didn't care. Keira preferred to think they didn't care. Caring would mean they understood what they'd done. She opened the door. The room smelled like bleach and emptiness, standard issue everything. Bed, desk, chair, locker, window overlooking the training yard, the same window Eva would have looked through, the same view, the same nothing. Keira dropped her duffel on the bed, sat down, let herself feel it for exactly 10 seconds, the weight, the loss, the rage that lived in her chest like a second heartbeat. 10 seconds, then she locked it away. Rage was fuel, but fuel burned hot and fast. She needed to burn slow, burn cold, burn until there was nothing left but ash and answers. She stood, opened the locker, empty except for wire hangers and dust. She ran her hand along the inside wall. Nothing. Checked under the shelf. Nothing. Got down on her knees and looked underneath. There, behind the locker, scratched into the concrete wall where no one would see unless they knew to look. Letters carved shallow. ES plus IC sisters. Eva Strand plus Iris Chen, the roommate, the one who'd found her, the one who'd looked at Keira like she'd seen a ghost. Sisters, Eva had found another sister here, before she died, before someone killed her. Keira took out her phone, photographed the carving. The flash made shadows jump. For just a second, the letters looked like they were bleeding. Outside, the training yard came alive with sound. Boots on gravel, cadence calls, the rhythm of people learning how to kill. Keira moved to the window, looked down. 20 recruits running drills. Mixed branches, Army, Navy, Marines, all of them young enough to think they'd live forever, all of them wrong. Leading them was a man who moved like violence wrapped in muscle, early 40s, built like someone who dedicated his entire life to being dangerous. Master Sergeant rank, combat infantry badge, Ranger tab, and something else. Something in the way he carried himself. The way the young soldiers looked at him, fear disguised as respect. He shouted commands. The recruits jumped, literally jumped, like his voice had gravity. Faster, you think the enemy waits for you to catch your breath. Move. The man's voice carried, deep, authoritative, the kind of voice drill instructors spent years perfecting, but there was something underneath it, something that enjoyed the power a little too much. A young private stumbled, Hispanic kid, maybe 20, he caught himself, kept running. The man was on him in seconds. Get up, you think falling gets you sympathy, gets you killed. The private pushed harder, face red, gasping, trying. The man stepped back, smiled, not a kind smile, a shark smile, that's right, fear keeps you alive. Keira watched, memorized his face, the way he moved, the way he watched the female soldiers a half-second too long, the way his smile changed when they passed. That was him. She knew it in her bones, the same bones that had broken in Helmand, the same bones that remembered what predators looked like. A knock on her door, sharp, official. She turned away from the window. Come in. The door opened. A man in his late 40s stepped through, lieutenant colonel rank, lean, weathered, eyes that had seen too many things go wrong. He didn't smile. Major Ashford, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Ben Harlow, base commander. Sir. They didn't shake hands. Harlow stayed by the door like he didn't want to be there, like the room smelled like something dead. I know why you're here. Keira waited, said nothing. Eva Strand was your foster sister. Emergency contact listed you on her file. I called you myself 8 months ago. You did. Harlow shifted, uncomfortable. I want you to know we took her death seriously. Full investigation, counseling for her unit, mental health resources offered. She killed herself. That was the official finding. It was. Harlow's jaw tightened. Major, I understand you're grieving, but you're here as an instructor, not as an investigator. If you have questions about Lieutenant Strand's death, they should go through proper channels. Understood, sir. Harlow studied her, looking for something, resistance, anger, grief. He found nothing, just a wall. Fort Irwin is a training facility. We prepare soldiers for combat. That's our mission. Personal matters can't interfere with that mission. They won't, sir. Good, you'll begin instructing tomorrow. 0600, training yard. Master Sergeant Mercer will brief you on protocols. Mercer, first name to go with the face. Understood. Harlow turned to leave, stopped, looked back. Major, Eva was a good officer. What happened to her was a tragedy, but it's over. Don't make it worse by digging into things that are already buried. With respect, sir, I'm here to teach, not to dig. Harlow held her eyes, 3 seconds, 5, looking for the lie. He didn't find it. She'd learned to lie in places where lying meant living. She was very good at it. Dismissed, Major. He left, the door clicked shut, his footsteps faded down the hall. Keira counted to 30. Then she pulled out her phone, found a secure messaging app she'd installed before leaving California, typed one message to a number that didn't exist in any contact list. I'm in, target confirmed. We'll need 72 hours. The reply came back in seconds, one word. Approved. She deleted both messages, put the phone away, sat on the bed that had been issued to replace Eva's bed, in the room where Eva had slept, in the building where Eva had died. The sun dropped toward the horizon. The heat didn't drop with it. Desert heat never did. It just changed form, became thick, heavy, the kind that pressed down on your chest and made you remember you were breathing poison. Keira unwrapped the compression bandage from her ribs. The scar tissue underneath was thick, purple, angry, 2 surgeries, 3 metal plates, 4 screws holding her chest together. The blast in Helmand had thrown her into a wall hard enough to collapse a lung. The wall had won. Commander Wade Donovan had pulled her out, her mentor. The man who taught her that pain was just information and information could be controlled. He'd carried her 200 meters to the evac point, took fire the whole way, got her on the helicopter, told her she'd be fine. He'd been wrong, she wasn't fine, but she was alive. Donovan wasn't. He died 3 months later, different mission, different country, same war. The Navy gave him a medal, his family got a flag. Keira got his last words, written in a letter his wife had mailed after the funeral. Ashford, pain is just noise. The signal is what you do with it. Stay on signal, keep your people safe. That's the mission. That's always the mission. She'd read that letter 1,000 times, kept it in her locker, next to Eva's photo, 2 ghosts she carried everywhere. Eva hadn't been her people in the military sense, but she'd been her people in every way that mattered. Blood didn't make family, choice did. Keira had chosen Eva. Eva had chosen her. And someone had taken that choice away. Keira pressed her fingers against the scar tissue. Pain flared, sharp, immediate. She welcomed it. Pain meant she was still here, still capable, still dangerous. She wrapped the bandage, tighter than necessary, tight enough to restrict breathing slightly, tight enough to remind her every inhale that she was on a mission. Outside, the training yard emptied, voices faded, the desert reclaimed its silence. At 2200 hours, Keira left her room, moved through the building like smoke. The hallways were empty. Most soldiers were in their racks. The smart ones were asleep. The dumb ones were pretending. Building 7, Room 14. Eva's old room, now listed as storage. The door was locked, standard issue, nothing special. Keira had learned to pick locks in foster care. You learned fast or you went hungry. She had the door open in 30 seconds. Inside, the smell hit her first. Bleach, industrial strength, the kind used to remove evidence. Blood, DNA, the biological proof that someone had existed. The room was empty, completely. No furniture, no boxes, just 4 walls and a floor and the ghost of what had happened here. Keira closed the door behind her, pulled out a small UV flashlight, clicked it on. The walls lit up, splatter patterns, tiny, microscopic, invisible to the naked eye but blazing under UV. Blood trace on the walls, on the floor near the bathroom, a trail leading from the bed to the shower. Not suicide, murder scene. Someone had drugged Eva. Someone had walked her to the bathroom. Someone had put her in the shower. Someone had cut her wrists and held her there and waited. The official report said Eva had done it herself, said she'd shown signs of depression, said her psych evals indicated PTSD from deployment stress, except Eva had never deployed, never seen combat, never left the continental United States. The report had lied. Keira moved the UV light slowly, methodical, looking for anything they'd missed. Behind the radiator she found it, scratched into the paint, 3 letters, I see help. Iris Chen, the roommate, the one who'd found her, the one who knew. Keira photographed everything, the blood trace, the message, the empty room that screamed murder in a frequency only certain people could hear. She was one of those people. A sound outside, footsteps coming closer. Keira killed the light, moved to the door, pressed her ear against it. 2 voices, male, one familiar, Master Sergeant Mercer. You sure she's the sister? Positive, same last name on the contact sheet. Harlow confirmed it. And he let her come here anyway. Said she claimed she's just here to instruct, not investigate. You believe that? Mercer laughed. Low, cruel, doesn't matter what I believe. She wants to play soldier, we'll play, see how long she lasts. The other voice, younger, uncertain, what if she knows? Knows what? That Strand was a mouthy bitch who couldn't keep her head down, that she threatened to report things that weren't her business. What if she has proof? There is no proof, we cleaned it, you cleaned it, remember? Silence, then the younger voice, quieter, I remember. Good, then remember this too. Ashford's just another instructor. If she makes trouble, we handle it like we handled Strand. Simple. The footsteps moved away, faded, gone. Keira stood in the dark, counted her heartbeats. They were steady, slow, combat calm. The kind of calm that came when you finally had confirmation of what you already knew. We handled it like we handled Strand. Confession, conspiracy, proof. Not proof that would hold up in court, but proof enough for what came next. She left room 14, locked it behind her, moved through the building like she'd never been there. By the time she reached her own room, she'd already started planning. Mercer thought she was here to investigate. He was wrong. Investigation implied uncertainty, implied questions. Keira had no questions. She knew exactly who had killed Eva, knew exactly why, knew exactly what she was going to do about it. The system had failed Eva. The official investigation had failed her. Justice had failed her. So Keira would be justice. Not the kind that came with courts and lawyers and reasonable doubt. The kind that came in the dark. The kind that made monsters remember they could still feel fear. She opened her laptop, pulled up encrypted files she'd compiled over the last 8 months, everything she'd gathered, everything she'd learned. Master Sergeant Cole Mercer, 42 years old, 22 years Army, Ranger qualified, combat infantry badge, 2 bronze stars, on paper, a model soldier. Off paper, 6 complaints filed against him by female soldiers, all dismissed, all buried, all disappeared. Lieutenant Eva Strand had been the 7th complaint. She'd made the mistake of putting it in writing, made the mistake of threatening to go outside the chain of command, made the mistake of trusting that the system would protect her. The system had protected Mercer instead. Eva's autopsy report sat in Keira's files. She'd gotten it through channels that didn't officially exist, channels that owed her favors from Afghanistan, channels that understood some debts could only be paid in blood. The report confirmed what she'd suspected: vertical cuts on the wrists, wrong angle for self-infliction, defensive wounds on the forearms, bruising on the shoulders consistent with being held down, Ambien in her system, Eva didn't have a prescription for Ambien. Toxicology had noted it. The investigating officer had ignored it. That officer's name was on her list too. Her phone buzzed. Encrypted message from Iris Chen, sent through a proxy server. Smart girl. I know who you are. We need to talk. Not here tomorrow. 500. Running trail east of the base. Come alone. Keira typed back. How do I know I can trust you? The reply came fast. You don't, but Eva trusted me. That's all I have. Keira stared at the message. Eva had trusted a lot of people. Most of them had failed her. But Iris had been the one to carve that message behind the radiator. Help, not a suicide note, a plea. And Iris was the one who'd said it wasn't suicide, in a hallway, to a stranger, knowing it could get her killed. That took courage or desperation, maybe both. 500, I'll be there. She closed the laptop, pulled out her phone, set an alarm for 0430, lay back on the bed. Sleep didn't come. It never did anymore. Not without seeing Eva's face. Not without hearing the question Eva would have asked. Why didn't you save me? Keira had asked herself the same question 8,000 times. Eva had called her 6 weeks before she died, left a voicemail. Keira had been in a training exercise, hadn't checked her messages until 3 days later. Hey sis, it's me. I know you're busy, but I need to talk. There's some stuff happening here. Nothing I can't handle, probably. But if I send you some files, can you keep them safe, just in case? Love you, call me back. Keira had called back 4 days later. Eva hadn't answered. Hadn't answered the next 3 calls either. Then Harlow had called with the news. Lieutenant Strand was found deceased in her quarters. Apparent suicide. Those files Eva had mentioned never arrived, never existed, or had been deleted before they could be sent. Just in case had turned into forever. Keira closed her eyes, didn't sleep, just waited for the alarm, waited for dawn, waited for the chance to start finishing what Eva couldn't. The desert night outside was complete. No moon, no stars visible through the dust, just darkness and heat and the distant sound of something dying in the sand. Morning came without mercy. 0430, the alarm pulled her from something that wasn't quite sleep. She dressed in PT gear, black shorts, gray navy shirt, running shoes worn smooth from 1,000 miles. The compression bandage went on first, tight, then the shirt over it. Nothing showed. Nothing indicated she was operating on a chest held together with hardware and scar tissue. She stepped outside at 0450. The air was already 85 degrees. By 0600 it would be 95. By 0700 hell. The running trail started at the east fence line. 5 miles of packed dirt winding through scrub brush and rock. Soldiers used it for PT. Keira had run worse in worse places. She started slow, let her body warm up, let the pain in her ribs settle into background noise. Pain is just noise, signal is what matters. At mile 2 she saw her, Iris Chen, standing off the trail, partially hidden by a boulder, nervous, scared, brave. Keira slowed, stopped. Iris stepped out. For a moment they just looked at each other. 2 women connected by a ghost. You look exactly like her, Iris said. It's terrifying. I get that a lot. Iris pulled out a tablet. Military issue. Probably stolen. Probably worth a court-martial if caught. I've been investigating Eva's death since the day I found her. Nobody believed me. Nobody cared, but I kept looking. I'm Signal Corps. I have access to systems most people don't. Communications, servers, encrypted files. She handed the tablet to Keira. On screen was a coroner's report, the official one. Keira had already seen it, but Iris scrolled down, showed her something she hadn't seen. Notes. handwritten in the margins, written by the assistant medical examiner, then crossed out, then erased, but still visible under digital enhancement. Inconsistent with self-infliction. Bruising pattern suggests restraint. Recommend homicide investigation. Those notes had never made it into the final report. Who crossed them out? Keira asked. Lieutenant Colonel Harlow. He was at the autopsy, personally. Said it was protocol for officer deaths, but I checked. It's not protocol, he shouldn't have been there. Harlow, the base commander. The man who'd called Keira 8 months ago. The man who'd told her this morning not to dig into buried things. The man who'd done the burying. What else do you have? Iris scrolled through files, audio recordings, video clips, documents. I've been recording Mercer for 6 months. He talks when he drinks, brags. I set up surveillance on common areas, bars, mess hall, anywhere he might let something slip. She played an audio clip, bar noise in the background, Mercer's voice, drunk, loud, confident. Bitches who don't know their place get corrected. It's natural order. Strand learned that, threatened to file against me, said she had proof I was sleeping with Harlow's wife. Can you imagine? Like I'd let some logistics lieutenant ruin my career. Another voice, younger, that's harsh, Sarge. Mercer's laugh, harsh is reality, I just helped her accept it early. The clip ended. Keira handed the tablet back. Her hands were steady. Her voice was steady. Everything was steady except the rage burning in her chest like thermite. This isn't enough for a conviction. It's hearsay, recorded without consent, inadmissible. I know, Iris looked at the ground, but it's the truth. Truth and justice aren't the same thing. Then what good is it? Keira looked at her, really looked at her, saw Eva in her eyes, saw the same kind of hope Eva used to have, the hope that the system would work, that good people would win, that monsters could be stopped. That hope had gotten Eva killed. It's good for one thing, Keira said. It tells me I'm targeting the right person. Iris's eyes went wide. You're going to kill him. No, I'm going to break him, make him confess, on record, in a way that can't be dismissed. Then I'm going to watch him go to prison for the rest of his life. How? Keira smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. There's a training evolution coming up. Night operations. Range 47. I'm going to request it. I'm going to make sure Mercer is assigned. And I'm going to create an environment where he thinks he can finish what he started with Eva. You're using yourself as bait. I'm creating an opportunity. There's a difference. What if he kills you? Then you take everything you have to NCIS. You promise me that. Iris was quiet, then she nodded, I promise. Good, now go. Don't contact me again unless it's an emergency. If anyone asks, we never met. Iris started to walk away, stopped, turned back. Eva talked about you all the time, said you were the strongest person she knew, said you'd never let anyone hurt her. Her voice broke on the last word. Keira felt something crack inside her chest, not her ribs, something deeper. I wasn't there when she needed me. I'm here now. Iris nodded, wiped her eyes, disappeared into the desert dawn. Keira stood alone on the trail. The sun broke over the mountains. Light spilled across the sand like blood. She resumed running, 5 more miles, then the training yard, then the beginning of the end. By 0600, 20 recruits stood in formation. Keira stood at the front. Mercer stood to her right, close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive, aggressive, the smell of someone trying to cover something rotten. He smiled at her, all teeth. Major Ashford, pleasure to finally meet formally, Cole Mercer. He extended his hand, she took it. His grip lasted half a second too long, testing, probing, looking for weakness. She squeezed back just enough. Let him know she wasn't afraid. Let him know she'd been tested by better. "Sergeant, looking forward to working with you." Mercer's smile shifted, still there, but different, the smile of someone who just recognized a challenge. "I've heard a lot about you, ma'am. SEAL instructor, combat veteran, Afghanistan, right? Helmand Province, 2019. Rough deployment." "They all are." True enough. He turned to the recruits, raised his voice. "Listen up, this is Major Ashford. She's here to teach you how to die slower. Pay attention. What she knows might buy you an extra 5 seconds in the field, if you're lucky." The recruits laughed, nervous, uncertain. Keira stepped forward. "When I speak, you listen. When I demonstrate, you watch. When I correct you, you adjust. Questions?" "No, ma'am." "Good, we start with hand-to-hand combat fundamentals. Disarms, escapes, submissions pair off." The recruits moved. Mercer stayed next to her. "Mind if I demonstrate with you, ma'am? Show the young ones how it's really done." It was a challenge, public, designed to embarrass her, designed to show the recruits that women couldn't compete with men. Keira had been challenged by better. "Sure, Sergeant, show them." They moved to the center mat, 20 recruits forming a circle, watching, waiting to see the female SEAL get humiliated. Mercer stripped off his shirt, showed off muscle earned through steroids and violence, tattoos covering scars, the body of someone who'd spent their life hurting people. Keira kept her shirt on, kept the compression bandage hidden, kept the broken ribs secret. Mercer attacked first, fast, aggressive, trying to overwhelm with speed and strength. Keira redirected, used his momentum, stepped inside his guard, hooked his extended arm, applied pressure to the elbow joint, took him down in 3 seconds. He hit the mat hard, air left his lungs in a rush. The recruit stared. Keira released him, stepped back, offered her hand. Mercer took it, let her pull him up. His face was red, embarrassment disguised as exertion. "Good technique, ma'am, fast." "Thank you, Sergeant, again." They went again, 4 more times. Each time Keira put him down, each time she made it look easy. By the 5th time, Mercer wasn't smiling anymore. His breathing was heavy, his eyes were dark. "That's enough," he said. "I think they get the point." "Do they?" She looked at the recruits, addressed them directly. "Speed and strength matter, but technique and control matter more. Your body is a weapon. Learn to use it precisely. Dismissed for water break." The recruits scattered. Mercer stayed, moved closer, lowered his voice so only she could hear. "Cute display, Major, but this isn't Afghanistan. This is my house, my range, my soldiers." "Is it?" His jaw tightened. Eva Strand thought she could walk in here and change things too. Thought she could disrespect the chain of command, file complaints, make accusations. What happened to her? She couldn't handle the pressure. Broke. Happens to weak people. Keira held his eyes. Is that the official story? It's the only story that matters. He turned and walked away, left her standing in the center of the training yard, left her with confirmation of what she already knew. He'd killed Eva, he was proud of it, and he thought he'd get away with it forever. He was wrong. That night Keira sat in Harlow's office, requested the night operations training, range 47, blackout conditions, close quarters combat evaluation. Harlow looked at the request form like it might explode. Range 47 hasn't been used in 2 years. Why there? It's the most realistic environment on base, perfect for SEAL-level training. Harlow set the form down. "Major, I told you this morning, don't dig." "I'm not digging, sir. I'm training." "Range 47 is where?" He stopped, started again. "There are other ranges, but none with the same tactical advantages." Harlow signed the form. His hand shook slightly. 72 hours. After that, I want you transferred out." "Understood, sir." She left his office, heard him make a phone call before she'd even reached the door. She requested range 47. "I don't like it. Just keep an eye on her." Keira kept walking. Let him think surveillance would help. Let him think he was in control. Control was an illusion. She'd learned that in Helmand. The blast that broke her ribs had taught her you couldn't control the world. You could only control your response to it. And her response was already in motion. 2 days later, the briefing happened. 1900 hours. Conference room. Mercer, 2 corporals, 3 privates, and Iris Chen assigned to communications. Keira stood at the front, explained the evolution. Blackout navigation, thermal optics only, no live ammunition, direct contact engagements only, objective, locate beacon in Mock Village. Mercer leaned back in his chair, comfortable, confident. "Sounds intense, Major. You sure your ribs can handle it?" The room went quiet. Keira didn't react, didn't flinch, just met his eyes. "My ribs are fine, Sergeant. Are yours?" Mercer's smile was all teeth. "Perfect, ma'am. When do we start?" "Tomorrow, 2200 hours. Gear issue at 2100. She dismissed them, watched them file out, watched Mercer whisper something to one of the corporals, watched them laugh. Iris stayed behind, approached carefully. "Ma'am, I hacked Mercer's phone. He sent a text 2 hours ago." "To who?" "Unknown number, burner probably, but the message said, 'Problem solves itself tomorrow night. Range 47, no witnesses.'" Keira nodded slowly. "Good, let him think that." "You're not worried?" "I'm counting on it." Iris looked scared. "What if you're wrong? What if he's better?" "Then you take everything to NCIS. You promised." "I did, but I don't want to." "Neither do I, but Eva didn't get a choice. We do." Iris left. The room fell silent. Keira stood alone, pulled out her phone, sent one final message. "Tomorrow night, 2200 hours. If you don't hear from me by 0600, execute contingency." The reply was immediate. "Understood, good hunting." She deleted the message, put the phone away, sat in the empty room. Outside, the sun set over the Mojave. The temperature dropped from unbearable to merely brutal. The desert prepared for night, the kind of night where things died in silence. Keira closed her eyes, saw Eva's face, heard her voice from a voicemail she'd saved, the last words her sister had ever spoken to her. "Love you, sis, call me back." She hadn't called back, not in time, not when it mattered. But she was calling now, in the only language men like Mercer understood. Violence precise, controlled, inevitable. She opened her eyes. The room was dark now. She sat in shadow, comfortable there, at home there. Ghosts belonged in darkness. And tomorrow night, she would show Master Sergeant Cole Mercer what happened when you created a ghost and then forgot to make sure it stayed dead. Tomorrow night, Range 47 would earn a new story, not the official kind that went in reports, the kind soldiers whispered about in barracks, the kind that became legend. The kind that started with a woman walking into hell alone and ended with the devil learning to fear the dark. She stood, left the room. Her footsteps echoed in the empty hallway, steady, certain, the rhythm of someone who'd already made peace with whatever came next. 24 hours remained. 24 hours until the longest night of Cole Mercer's life. 24 hours until Eva Strand's ghost got the justice the living world had denied her. Keira Ashford walked into the desert night. The stars above were cold and distant and uncaring. Perfect. She didn't need warmth, didn't need care. She just needed 72 hours and one dark range, and a recorder that wouldn't lie. The rest would be simple. Not easy, but simple. And sometimes simple was all you needed. Sometimes simple was enough. 24 hours passed like a held breath. Keira spent them preparing, not the kind of preparation that showed. No extra gear, no unusual requests, just the quiet, methodical work of someone who'd learned that wars were won in the planning, not the fighting. She ran the training yard drills, corrected stances, demonstrated techniques, acted like tomorrow night was just another evolution, just another box to check on the endless list of things that turned civilians into soldiers. Mercer watched her. She felt his eyes, constant, measuring, looking for cracks in the facade, looking for fear. He wouldn't find it. Fear was something she'd left behind in Helmand, along with the belief that the world was fair, along with the hope that good people always won. The Mojave sun climbed to its peak and tried to murder everything underneath it. 117 degrees by 1400 hours. The kind of heat that made thinking feel like swimming through concrete. The recruits wilted. Mercer pushed them harder. Keira said nothing, just watched, took notes, documented everything. At 1600 hours, Corporal Jake Reeves approached her. Late 20s, stocky build, eyes that had seen things he didn't want to talk about. He'd been quiet during the demonstrations, hadn't laughed when Mercer made his jokes, hadn't joined the others when they tried to impress the sergeant. "Ma'am, can I speak with you, privately?" They walked to the edge of the training yard, out of earshot. Reeves looked around, nervous, like the air itself might be listening. "I know why you're here." Keira waited, said nothing. "Eva Strand was your sister, foster sister. I saw the records. I work admin sometimes. Process transfer orders. I saw your emergency contact listing." "That's not classified information, Corporal." "No, ma'am, but what I'm about to tell you is." He pulled out his phone, checked again to make sure they were alone, pulled up an audio file. "I've been recording Mercer for 6 months, ever since Eva died. I didn't believe the suicide story. Something about it felt wrong. So I started paying attention, started documenting." "Why?" "Because my sister tried to kill herself 3 years ago, after her boss assaulted her. Nobody believed her either. She survived. Barely. I swore I'd never ignore the signs again." He played the audio, bar sounds, voices, Mercer's voice rising above the rest, drunk, loud, bragging. "Strand thought she could threaten me, said she'd go to IG, said she had proof I was fucking Harlow's wife. Can you believe that shit? Like some logistics lieutenant could touch me." Another voice, younger, uncertain. "What did you do?" Mercer's laugh, what needed to be done, handled the problem permanently. Static, then the younger voice again. "You mean?" "I mean she won't be filing any more complaints. Neither will anyone else who gets ideas." The recording ended. Reeves put his phone away. His hands shook. "That's not the only one. I have 11 recordings, different nights, different bars, always the same theme. He brags about correcting women, putting them in their place. He's careful, never says murder outright, but the implication is clear. This wouldn't hold up in court, recorded without consent, hearsay." "I know, that's why I never turned it in. But you're not going to court, are you?" Keira looked at him, really looked, saw the guilt there, the weight of knowing and not acting. What do you want from me, Corporal? I want you to finish what I couldn't start. I want Mercer to pay, and I want to help. Why would you risk that? Because Eva came to me 2 weeks before she died, asked if I'd testify if she filed formal charges. I said I would. Then I got scared, told her I needed time to think about it. 2 weeks later, she was dead. He looked at the ground, his voice dropped. I took too long to decide. She ran out of time. I won't make that mistake again. Keira pulled out her own phone. Tomorrow night, range 47. All comms will be recorded, open channels. If Mercer says anything incriminating, you tag it, you back it up. You make sure it's preserved in multiple locations. Can you do that? Yes, ma'am. If this goes wrong, if I don't make it out, you take everything to NCIS, not base command, not the IG, NCIS directly. Understood? Understood. Good, now get back to formation before anyone notices. Reeves started to leave, stopped, turned back. Ma'am, he's dangerous, more dangerous than you think. He's not just a bully, he's a predator, and he's good at it. I know. Then you know he's planning to kill you tomorrow night. I'm counting on him trying. Reeves' eyes widened, then he nodded. Got it. Good luck, ma'am. Luck is what you hope for, Corporal. Training is what you rely on. She'd said the same thing to Mercer yesterday. Let it become her signature line. Let them all hear it, remember it, quote it. Words were weapons too, especially the ones that echoed. The sun fell toward the western ridgeline. The shadows grew long and the heat shifted from oppressive to merely unbearable. The recruits finished their final drill, dispersed toward the mess hall, left the training yard empty except for the wind and the ghosts. Keira walked to Building 7, up 3 flights of stairs, into Room 12, her room, Eva's old room, the place where 2 timelines intersected. She sat on the bed, unwrapped the compression bandage. The bruising had darkened, purple turning black around the old surgical scars. The metal plates underneath felt hot, like they'd absorbed too much sun, too much pain, too much memory. Helmand came back. It always did when she touched the scars. Commander Wade Donovan pulling her from rubble, his face covered in dust and blood. Not his blood, hers. Stay with me, Ashford. You don't get to check out yet. She tried to speak, couldn't, lung collapsed, ribs shattered, body trying to decide if dying was easier than living. Donovan had made the decision for her, threw her over his shoulder, ran 200 meters, through fire, through chaos, through hell with a forwarding address. He'd gotten her to the evac point, held her hand while the medic worked, told her she'd be fine, told her she'd be back in the field in 6 months, told her lies that felt like truth because he'd said them with such conviction. She hadn't been fine, hadn't been back in 6 months, had spent a year in surgery and physical therapy and learning how to breathe without feeling like her chest was full of broken glass. Donovan had died 3 months into her recovery. Different mission, different continent, same war that never ended. His last letter had arrived 2 weeks after his funeral. His wife had found it in his desk, addressed to Keira, sealed, dated the day before his final mission. The letter was in her locker now. She'd memorized every word. Ashford, if you're reading this, I didn't make it back. Don't waste time feeling guilty. We all know the risks. What I need you to do is remember what I taught you. Pain is just noise. The signal is what you do with it. Your signal is keeping your people safe. That's the mission. That's always the mission. Don't let the noise drown out the signal. Stay strong. Stay focused. Stay alive. Make it count. Donovan. Make it count. She'd tried, stayed in the Navy, became an instructor, taught young SEALs how to survive what she'd survived, how to carry what she carried. And she'd failed Eva, the one person who'd actually been her people, the one person she'd sworn to protect. Eva hadn't been military when they'd met, had been a scared 12-year-old in a group home full of scared kids, had cried the first night. Keira had been 14, already hard, already learning that crying didn't change anything. But Eva's crying had changed something in her, had cracked something open, had reminded her that protecting people mattered more than protecting yourself. She'd climbed into Eva's bed that first night, held her until the crying stopped, whispered the only comfort she knew. "I won't let anyone hurt you, I promise." 22 years later, she'd broken that promise. Tomorrow night she'd try to fix it, not for Eva. Eva was gone, but for the ghost Eva had left behind. The ghost that asked why every time Keira closed her eyes. She rewrapped the bandage, tighter than before, tight enough to restrict breathing, tight enough to hurt. Pain is just noise. She stood, checked her gear, thermal optics, knife, tactical gloves, recorder, everything laid out with the precision of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Everything except ammunition. No live rounds. This was training, official training, with official protocols and official oversight. Unofficially, it was an execution, just not the kind Mercer expected. Her phone buzzed, message from Iris Chen, encrypted, routed through 3 proxy servers. All systems ready, recording equipment tested, backup power confirmed. I've also set up remote access to Range 47 security systems. If needed, I can trigger lockdown from command center. All exits will seal, electronic locks. Can't be overridden without my authorization code. Keira typed back, "Don't trigger anything unless I'm dead. Let it play out." The reply came fast, "How will I know if you're dead?" "You'll know." She put the phone down, sat in the growing darkness. Outside, the base settled into evening routine, mess hall noise, distant laughter, the normal sounds of people who didn't know tomorrow someone would die. Maybe Mercer, maybe her, maybe both. Didn't matter. What mattered was the truth coming out. What mattered was Eva's name being cleared. What mattered was making sure no one else's sister ended up in a bathtub with opened wrists and closed case files. Make it count. She would. 2100 hours arrived like a deadline. Keira walked to the armory, drew her equipment, thermal scope, tactical vest, radio, all the tools of controlled violence. The armory sergeant handed her a clipboard. "Sign here, ma'am. Return by 0600 or it's flagged as missing." She signed, K. Ashford. The signature looked like Eva's, always had. Foster sisters who'd learned to write at the same kitchen table, who'd practiced signing each other's names for school permission slips, who'd promised to always have each other's backs. Keira had failed that promise. Tonight she'd fail it again or honor it. No middle ground. She walked to Range 47. The mock village sat 2 miles from main base, accessible only by dirt road, surrounded by desert that stretched to horizons that didn't care. The village was built from shipping containers and plywood and the kind of imagination that turned training ranges into prophecy. 40 structures, narrow alleys, kill zones disguised as doorways, everything designed to teach soldiers that combat wasn't glorious, just necessary, and usually fatal. Lights ran along the perimeter, harsh, white, making everything look like an overexposed photograph. Beyond the lights, darkness waited, patient, hungry. Mercer arrived at 21:30, early, eager. He wore his tactical gear like a second skin, moved like someone comfortable with violence, smiled like someone who enjoyed it. "Ready for this, Major." "Born ready, Sergeant." His smile widened, "We'll see." The other participants filtered in. Reeves, 2 privates, a Navy corpsman, all young, all nervous, all wondering why night training required thermal optics and full tactical loadout. Keira gathered them, explained the evolution, again, made sure everyone understood. Blackout conditions, no ambient light, thermal optics only. Objective is to locate a beacon hidden in the village. Movement is tactical, contact is controlled, no live ammunition. Any questions? One of the privates raised his hand. "Ma'am, what if someone gets hurt?" "Medical is standing by. But if you follow protocol, nobody gets hurt. Contact should be professional, controlled." Mercer laughed, soft, dark. "In my experience, Major, contact is never controlled, it's just managed chaos." "Then manage it better, Sergeant." The privates glanced between them, sensing something, not sure what, just knowing the air felt heavy, electric, like the moment before lightning strikes. Iris arrived last, set up the communication station, laptop, radio array, recording equipment that looked official but had capabilities way beyond standard issue. She also had a secondary tablet running the security override system for Range 47. She caught Keira's eye, nodded once, everything was ready. At 2200 hours exactly, the perimeter lights cut. Darkness fell like a wall, complete, absolute, the kind of dark that makes you remember humans are prey animals who fear what they can't see. Thermal optics turned the world green, heat signatures glowing, bodies reduced to shapes and temperatures, humanity stripped down to thermodynamics. Keira's voice cut through the dark, calm, professional. "Phase 1 begins now. Mercer, your first entry, 30-second intervals between teams. Move." Mercer disappeared into the village, his heat signature bright against the cooling concrete, moving fast, confident, a predator in its element. Reeves went next, then the privates, then the corpsmen. Keira waited, counted to 60, then activated her radio. "Iris, confirm all channels recording." "Confirmed, ma'am. 7 active frequencies, all backed up to cloud storage, real time, and I have Range 47 security systems online. Lockdown ready on your command." "Good, I'm going in. If I don't check in every 15 minutes, you know what to do." "Yes, ma'am, be careful." Careful was for people who had something to lose. Keira stepped into the village. Let the darkness swallow her. Let the training take over, SEAL training, the kind that taught you to move like water, silent, inevitable, deadly. Her thermal scope showed 5 signatures ahead, spread through the village in a pattern that looked random but wasn't. Mercer had positioned them, created lanes of fire, bottlenecks, kill zones. He was hunting her, thought she didn't know, thought she was walking into an ambush. He was right about the ambush, wrong about who was walking into it. She moved through Building 1. Concrete shell, empty windows, doors that led nowhere, the architecture of war. Her ribs ached, sharp, constant, every breath a reminder that she was operating on borrowed time and rebuilt anatomy. The compression bandage helped, not enough, never enough. Pain is just noise. She pushed it down, focused on the signal, the mission, find Mercer, isolate him, make him feel safe enough to brag, unsafe enough to confess. Her radio crackled, Mercer's voice, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Reeves, what's your position?" "Building 7, no contact yet." "Stay sharp, she's out here somewhere, and she's sneaky." The word sneaky carried weight, contempt, the kind reserved for things that don't fight fair, things that use intelligence instead of strength, women. Keira smiled in the darkness. Sneaky worked. She circled wide, Came up on Building 12 from the back, second floor access. She climbed the external ladder, silent, the metal rungs still hot from the day's sun. From the second floor she had elevation, vision, control. She could see 4 heat signatures below, the 5th was missing. Mercer gone dark, either hiding or hunting. Her radio crackled again, this time on a different frequency, one of the private channels Mercer thought was secure. His voice, quieter now, talking to someone. "Ortega, you there?" A new voice, younger, nervous. "Yeah, Sarge, I'm here." "She's alone in Building 12. Second floor. I'm moving to block the exits. You come up from the south, we corner her, make it look like training." "What then?" "Then we see if SEAL training prepared her for falling downstairs." Silence, then Ortega's voice, smaller. "Man, I don't know about this. You want to end up like Reeves, questioning me, or you want to be smart and follow orders?" Another pause, then, "I'm moving to the south entrance." "Good man." The radio went silent. Keira's thermal scope tracked new movement. 2 signatures approaching Building 12, one from the west, one from the south. Mercer and Ortega, coming to finish what Mercer had started with Eva. She checked her radio, confirmed it was transmitting, confirmed Iris was recording. Then she whispered into the command channel, "Iris, you get that?" Every word, tagged and backed up. "How many witnesses on the channel?" 4. "Reeves is listening, so are the privates." "Perfect, stay on this frequency. What happens next needs to be documented." "Understood, be careful." Too late for careful. Keira moved, not away, toward, down the ladder, into the building, into the trap Mercer thought he'd set. The interior was black. Her thermal scope turned it green, shapes, corners, doorways, everything reduced to temperature and threat. Mercer entered from the west, moving tactical, rifle up, scanning, looking for her heat signature. Ortega entered from the south, less confident, more hesitant, following because he was told to, not because he believed. Keira was already in position, third room, behind a concrete support beam, watching them converge. Mercer's voice, low, directed at Ortega. "You see her?" "Negative." "She's here, I can feel it. Check the corners." They moved deeper, separating. Bad tactic, good for her. She waited until Mercer passed her position. Then she stepped out, silent, behind him, close enough to hear him breathing. She spoke, normal volume, clear, "Looking for someone, Sergeant." Mercer spun, fast, brought his rifle around, found her standing there, hands at her sides, no weapon raised, just watching him. His finger was on the trigger. The rifle was pointed at her chest, point-blank range. Training weapon loaded with blanks, but the instinct was real. The aggression was real. "Contact," he said into his radio. "Building 12, third room." Then to her, quieter, "You shouldn't have come alone, Major." "I'm not alone, I have you." His eyes narrowed behind the thermal optics, trying to read her, trying to understand why she wasn't afraid. "You think you're smart, like Strand thought she was smart. Look where that got her." "Where did it get her?" "Dead quiet, forgotten." "Is she forgotten?" "Should be. Nobody cares about a weak lieutenant who couldn't handle pressure." Keira stepped closer. One step. Mercer's rifle stayed up. His fingers stayed on the trigger. "Eva wasn't weak. She was strong enough to threaten you, strong enough to make you scared. That's why you killed her." His jaw tightened. "Careful, Major. Accusations like that can ruin careers." "Can they, or do they get buried, like evidence, like investigations, like bodies?" Ortega shifted, uncomfortable, unsure, his rifle lowered slightly. Mercer noticed, barked at him, "Stay focused, Corporal." "On what? On helping you murder another woman." The words hung in the air like smoke from a gun. Mercer's head snapped toward Ortega. "What did you say?" "I said I'm not doing this, sir. Whatever this is, I'm out." "The hell you are. You're in this deep as me. You helped clean that room. You helped write the report." "Because you told me it was an accident. You said she fell. You said it was tragic but unavoidable. And you believed me, because it was easier than asking questions." Ortega's rifle came up, pointed at Mercer, not at Keira, at his sergeant, the man he'd followed for 2 years. "I'm asking questions now." Keira's voice cut through. "Calm, clear, Corporal Ortega. Lower your weapon. This is still training." "Ma'am, he just admitted to murder." "He admitted to knowledge of a death. That's not the same thing, not yet." She turned to Mercer. His rifle was still pointed at her, but his confidence was cracking. She could see it in his posture, the way his shoulders had tightened, the way his breathing had changed. "Sergeant Mercer, do you want to tell us what really happened to Lieutenant Strand?" "I don't have to tell you shit." "True, but you want to, don't you? You've been carrying it for 8 months, bragging about it in bars, dropping hints to anyone who'll listen. You're proud of what you did." "I'm proud I maintained discipline, maintained standards." "By drugging a woman and cutting her wrists." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the wind stopped, like the desert itself was holding its breath. Mercer's rifle lowered just slightly. His voice came out different, harder, colder. "She was going to destroy me, file false charges, claim I assaulted her, all because I was sleeping with someone she didn't approve of." "Harlow's wife." Mercer's eyes widened. "How did you?" "I know a lot of things, Sergeant. I know Eva came to you first, tried to handle it quietly, tried to give you a chance to stop. You refused, so she went official, filed a complaint. That's when you decided she had to go." "You don't know anything." "I know you waited until she was alone. I know you slipped Ambien into her protein shake. I know you walked her to the bathroom when she got drowsy. I know you put her in the shower. I know you cut her wrists. And I know she woke up halfway through." "Stop." "I know she fought you, scratched your arms. That's why you wore long sleeves for 3 weeks after, even in 100-degree heat." "Shut up." "I know you held her down, watched her bleed, waited until she stopped moving. Then you staged it, made it look like suicide, called it in, played the concerned colleague." "I said shut up." Mercer's rifle came back up, pointed at her head now, finger tight on the trigger. The blank wouldn't kill her at this range, but it would hurt, might even cause real damage, burns, temporary blindness. Keira didn't move, didn't flinch, just held his eyes. "You want to shoot me? Go ahead. But it won't change what you did. It won't erase Eva. It won't make you anything but what you are. A coward who murders women because he can't handle being held accountable." Mercer's hand shook, rage and fear fighting for control. Ortega's voice, shaking, horrified. "Sarge, tell me she's lying. Tell me you didn't do that." "She's lying. She's trying to get in your head." "Then prove it. Tell us what really happened." "I don't have to prove anything to anyone." Keira's radio crackled, Iris's voice, deliberate, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Commander, be advised. All channels are recording. Everything said in the last 5 minutes is documented." Mercer froze, looked at his radio, looked at Keira. Understanding crashed over him like cold water. "You recorded this. You set me up." "I created an opportunity. You chose to walk into it, just like you chose to kill Eva." His face went through emotions too fast to track. Rage, fear, desperation, calculation. Then he smiled. Wrong, broken, the smile of someone who just realized they'd lost but didn't care anymore. Doesn't matter. Recordings are inadmissible, taken without consent. Any lawyer will get them thrown out. Maybe, but NCIS will listen. They'll investigate. They'll find the Ambien purchase. The defensive wounds they noted but ignored. The bruising pattern that didn't match suicide. All the evidence Harlow buried. It won't bring Eva back, but it'll put you in Leavenworth for the rest of your life. No, that's not. That's exactly how this ends, Sergeant. The only question is whether you make it worse by shooting me, or better by putting down the rifle and coming quietly. Mercer's rifle wavered, up, down, his mind racing, looking for an exit that didn't exist. Then he made his choice. He ran. Dropped the rifle, turned, bolted toward the south exit. Ortega jumped aside, let him pass, too shocked to react. Keira didn't chase, just spoke into her radio. Calm, clear, Iris, lock the exits. Already done. He's contained in the village perimeter. Electronic locks engaged. No override without my authorization. All units. Mercer is fleeing. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. Let him run. Why? Ortega asked. Why let him go? Because there's nowhere to go, and because running is a confession. She walked to the south exit, looked out. Her thermal scope showed Mercer's heat signature racing through the village, panicked, desperate, trying exits that wouldn't open, doors that stayed locked. Iris had done her job. The entire range was sealed. Mercer was trapped in a box of his own making. The security system she'd hacked was military-grade, designed to contain prisoners during exercises. No manual override. No emergency release without proper codes. Mercer tried the main gate. Locked. Tried the service entrance. Locked. Tried a window large enough to climb through. Reinforced glass wouldn't break. He was learning what it felt like to be trapped. What Eva had felt when he'd held her down. What all his victims had felt. Keira activated the PA system. Her voice echoed through the village, every speaker, every building, inescapable. Sergeant Mercer, you're surrounded, all exits are locked, all communications are recorded. You have two choices. Surrender now, or keep running until you collapse. Either way, this ends the same. His heat signature stopped. Middle of the village. Central Plaza, cornered, nowhere left to run. Keira walked toward him, slow, measured, no rush. He wasn't going anywhere. She found him in the plaza, standing in the center, thermal optics off now, face visible in the emergency lighting that had kicked on when Iris triggered lockdown. He looked smaller, diminished, the predator stripped of power, just a man who'd made terrible choices and run out of options. Why, he asked, voice raw, why go through all this? Why not just report me? I did report you to Eva 8 months ago. She told me she was handling it. She trusted the system. The system failed her. So you became judge and jury. No, I became the thing that makes sure the truth comes out. What happens after that is up to the real judges. Mercer laughed, bitter, broken. You think you're a hero, you're not. You're just another killer with a badge. I never said I was a hero. I'm just a sister who made a promise, and I keep my promises. Even when it destroys you. Especially then. Footsteps behind her. Multiple, Reeves, the privates, the corpsmen, Ortega, all of them drawn by the commotion. All of them forming a circle around Mercer. And in the distance, more footsteps, heavier, official, military police arriving. Someone had called them, probably Iris. Mercer looked at the circle, looked at Keira. Something in his eyes changed. Acceptance or resignation, hard to tell the difference. For what it's worth, he said, She did fight, harder than I expected, almost got away. Almost doesn't matter. No, I suppose it doesn't. The MPs arrived, 4 of them, led by a Sergeant Keira didn't recognize. He looked at the scene, looked at Keira. "Ma'am, we received reports of an incident." Keira handed him a small recorder. "Everything's on here. Confession to the murder of Lieutenant Eva Strand, recorded with full knowledge during an official training exercise." The MP sergeant looked at Mercer. "Sir, I need you to come with us." Mercer didn't resist, just held out his hands for the zip ties, let them bind his wrists, let them lead him away. Broken, finished. As they walked him past Keira, he stopped, looked at her one last time. "She really meant something to you." "Everything." "Must be nice, having something worth destroying yourself for." "I'm not destroyed, Sergeant. I'm just getting started." He smiled, sad, empty. "Then I feel sorry for whoever's next on your list." The MPs took him away. His footsteps faded into the distance. The night reclaimed its silence. Keira stood in the center of the village, surrounded by witnesses, surrounded by evidence, surrounded by the ghost of a promise kept. Ortega approached, hesitant. "Ma'am, I helped him. After I cleaned the room, I signed the report. I'm complicit." "Yes, you are." "Are you going to report me?" "That depends. Are you going to testify, tell the truth about what you saw, what you did, what you helped cover up?" "Yes, ma'am, all of it." "Then your cooperation will be noted. It won't erase what you did, but it might help you sleep at night." "I haven't slept in 8 months." "Now you know why." Reeves stepped forward, held out his hand. His phone was in it. All 11 recordings queued. "Ma'am, this is everything I have. It's yours now." Keira took the phone. "Thank you, Corporal. Your sister would be proud." "I hope so. I owe her that much." "We all owe somebody." The village emptied, slowly, people drifting away, back to their barracks, back to their lives, back to pretending the world made sense. Only Iris remained, standing at the communications station, laptop still recording, eyes red from crying. Keira walked to her. "You did good work tonight." "I just pushed buttons. You did everything." "Buttons matter. Without you, none of this gets recorded. None of it sticks. Eva stays forgotten." "She's not forgotten now." "No, she's not." Iris wiped her eyes. "What happens next?" "NCIS investigates. Court-martial, trial, justice. Maybe." "Maybe." "The system failed once. Might fail again. But at least we gave it another chance." "What about you?" "What about me?" "Harlow knows you did this. He'll try to bury you, court-martial you, destroy your career." "Let him try. I've survived worse." "Have you? You're operating on broken ribs. You just antagonized a base commander. You're alone." Keira smiled. "I'm not alone. I have evidence. I have witnesses. I have the truth. That's more than Eva had." Iris nodded, closed her laptop, shut down the recording equipment. The night settled around them, complete, final. They walked back to base together, side by side. 2 women connected by a ghost who could finally rest. The sun would rise in 6 hours. The Mojave would heat up again. Life would continue, but something had changed, something fundamental. One predator had been stopped. One victim had been avenged. One promise had been kept. It wasn't enough, would never be enough, but it was something. And sometimes something was all you got. The admin building lights were on when they arrived. Lieutenant Colonel Harlow stood in the parking lot, arms crossed, face hard. Behind him, 3 officers Keira didn't recognize, JAG, legal, the cleanup crew. Major Ashford, my office, now. Keira looked at Iris. Go get some sleep. This might take a while. What will you tell them? The truth, always the truth. She walked toward Harlow, toward whatever came next, toward consequences she'd accepted before she'd even arrived at Fort Irwin. Make it count, Donovan had written. Make it count. She had. Eva's death meant something now, meant justice, meant change, meant no one else would die quietly while predators protected predators. That was worth a career, worth a court-martial, worth everything. Harlow's office was exactly what she expected. Neat, organized, the facade of someone who cared about order, who cared about rules, who'd broken every rule that mattered to protect a killer. Sit down, Major. She sat. Harlow didn't, just paced, building tension, establishing dominance, the old playbook, she'd seen it before. You orchestrated an illegal entrapment operation on my base, recorded without consent, manipulated a training evolution for personal vendetta, endangered personnel, violated about 15 regulations I can think of off the top of my head. Keira said nothing. Do you have anything to say? Eva Strand was murdered. You knew it. You buried it. You protected her killer because it was easier than doing your job. Harlow's face reddened. You have no proof of that. I have Ortega's testimony. I have recordings of Mercer's confession. I have the original coroner's notes that you had struck from the final report. I have a paper trail that leads directly to you. That's circumstantial, hearsay, inadmissible. Maybe, but it's enough for NCIS to investigate, enough for IG to ask questions, enough to ruin your career the way you let Eva's life be ruined. Harlow stopped pacing, looked at her, really looked, saw something there that made him pause. What do you want? I want you to tell the truth. I want you to admit you knew Mercer killed Eva. I want you to explain why you buried it. And if I don't, then I release everything I have to every news outlet that'll listen. I make you the face of institutional failure. I make sure Fort Irwin becomes synonymous with corruption. Your choice. Silence, long, heavy, the sound of a man realizing he'd lost. Harlow sat down, deflated, aged 10 years in 10 seconds. Mercer had leverage on me, photos from an affair. If he went down, I went down, so I protected him, made the investigation go away, classified it as suicide. I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. No, because you came, and you wouldn't let it stay buried. Eva wouldn't stay buried. I just gave her a voice. Harlow looked at his hands. I'm sorry, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. It's worth nothing. Apologies don't bring her back, but the truth might prevent the next one. What do you want me to do? Resign, testify against Mercer, cooperate fully with NCIS, take responsibility for your role. And if I do that, then maybe you sleep better than you have for the last 8 months. Harlow nodded, pulled out a piece of paper, started writing, his resignation effective immediately. He signed it, slid it across the desk. Keira took it, folded it, put it in her pocket next to Eva's memorial notice. One more thing, Harlow said. There were others before Eva, 3 other women. Mercer was involved in all of them. I buried those too. Names: Lieutenant Sarah Vance, Corporal Rita Moss, Staff Sergeant Amy Cole, all ruled suicides, all suspicious, all buried by me. Keira wrote them down. 3 more ghosts, 3 more promises she'd have to keep. Thank you for telling me. Don't thank me. I'm a coward who let good people die. Thank you for being brave enough to stop it. Keira stood, walked to the door, paused. One question. Why didn't you stop him after the first one? Harlow looked at the floor. His voice came out broken. Because by then I was already complicit, and it's easier to keep lying than admit you were wrong. That's not an answer. I know, but it's all I have. Keira left, closed the door behind her, walked through hallways that felt different now. Cleaner, lighter, like truth had weight and its absence had been crushing everything. Outside, dawn was breaking, the Mojave sky turning purple and gold, beautiful and merciless. Iris was waiting, sitting on a bench, exhausted, hopeful. How did it go? Harlow resigned. He's cooperating, it's over. Over? The first part, the part where we had to fight for the truth. Now comes the hard part, making sure it sticks. What if it doesn't? Then we fight harder. Iris smiled, tired, genuine. Eva would be proud of you. Eva would be alive if I'd answered my phone. You can't carry that. Watch me. They sat together, watching the sun rise, watching the base wake up, watching the world continue like nothing had changed. But something had changed, fundamentally. 4 women who died in silence now had voices, had justice, had meaning. Keira's phone buzzed. Message from a number she didn't recognize. Major Ashford, this is Special Agent Brennan, NCIS. We've been monitoring Fort Irwin for 8 months, waiting for someone to break the silence. Thank you for being that someone. We'll take it from here. She showed Iris the message. They were watching the whole time. Apparently. Why didn't they step in? Because they needed someone inside, someone with nothing to lose, someone who'd push hard enough to crack it open. That's cold. That's bureaucracy. So we did their job for them. We did Eva's job. She tried to expose this. We finished it. Iris stood, stretched. I should sleep. I've been awake for 36 hours. Sleep well, specialist. You earned it. Iris started to walk away, stopped, turned back. What about you? What will you do now? Keira looked at the sunrise, at the base, at the place where her sister had died and been forgotten and finally been remembered. I'll wait for the trial, testify, make sure Mercer and Harlow pay. Then I'll find the families of the other 3 women, tell them the truth, give them closure. And after that I'll find the next base, the next predator, the next cover-up, and I'll do it again. That's not sustainable. You'll burn out. Probably, but until I do, I'll keep going. Someone has to. Iris nodded, understanding. If you need help, any help, call me. I will. Iris left, walked toward Building 7, toward sleep, toward healing. Keira stayed on the bench, pulled out her phone, opened her photos, found Eva's picture, the one from Eva's graduation, proud, happy, alive. I kept my promise, she whispered to the photo. Took longer than it should have, but I kept it. The photo didn't answer. Photos never did. But somewhere in whatever place ghosts went, Keira hoped Eva heard, hoped Eva knew, hoped Eva understood. She stood, walked toward Building 7, toward her room, toward rest she'd probably never find. Her ribs ached, constant, sharp, reminding her with every breath that she was alive and Eva wasn't. Pain is just noise, Donovan had written. Signal is what you do with it. Her signal was clear. Keep fighting, keep exposing, keep making sure no one else's sister disappeared into silence. It wasn't much, but it was hers. And she'd carry it until it killed her, or she ran out of ghosts to avenge. The sun cleared the mountains. Full daylight now. The Mojave heated up fast. Promises to hit 115 by noon. Keira didn't care. Heat was just another form of noise. And she'd learned to live with noise a long time ago. She climbed the stairs to room 12, opened the door, sat on the bed. For the first time in 8 months, the room felt less like a tomb. Not peaceful, not happy, just less heavy. That was progress. Small, painful, but real. She lay back, closed her eyes, let exhaustion take her. And for the first time since Eva died, she slept without seeing her sister's face asking why. Because now there was an answer. Justice, truth, accountability. Not enough to bring Eva back, but enough to honor her memory. And sometimes that's all you can do. Remember the dead by fighting for the living. Keira Ashford knew that truth like she knew her own heartbeat. And she'd carry it until one or the other stopped. 3 weeks passed like a sentence being served. Fort Irwin transformed overnight. What had been whispers became investigations. What had been buried became evidence. What had been forgotten became justice in motion. NCIS arrived the morning after Mercer's arrest. 6 agents, clean suits, hard eyes, the kind of people who'd seen worse and documented it with the precision of surgeons. Special Agent Brennan led the team, 50-something, former Marine, the kind of face that had stopped believing in coincidences around the same time it stopped believing in mercy. She sat across from Keira in an interview room that smelled like coffee and fluorescent lighting. Major Ashford, you've given us quite a case. I gave you the truth. What you do with it is your job. Brennan smiled, thin, professional. We've been watching Fort Irwin for 8 months. Ever since Lieutenant Strand's death triggered anomaly flags in our system. Suicide among female officers. Base commander personally attending autopsy. Evidence discrepancies. It all looked wrong. Then why didn't you intervene? Because wrong isn't proof. We needed someone inside, someone willing to push, someone with nothing to lose. You gave us that. Keira leaned back. Her ribs ached. They always did, probably always would. You used me. We gave you an opportunity. You chose what to do with it. And if I'd failed, if Mercer had killed me, then we'd have had a murder investigation instead of a confession. Either way, the truth comes out. Cold. Brennan's expression didn't change. Effective. There's a difference. She pulled out a file. Thick, official, stamped with classifications that meant careers could end just for opening it. Master Sergeant Cole Mercer, 42 years old, 22 years service, 14 commendations, 2 Bronze Stars, and now confessed murderer. She paused, along with Lieutenant Colonel Ben Harlow, accessory after the fact. Obstruction of justice, 4 counts. 4. 3 additional cases we've connected to Mercer, all female soldiers, all ruled suicides, all suspicious. Harlow buried them all. The names Harlow had given her: Sarah Vance, Rita Moss, Amy Cole plus Eva, 4 women, 4 families, 4 ghosts demanding justice. What about the others, the ones who helped cover it up? Corporal Ortega is cooperating. Full immunity in exchange for testimony. Private Simmons, who helped clean Eva's room, is facing obstruction charges. 2 admin personnel who falsified reports are under investigation. And Mercer. Court-martial in 2 weeks. General court, capital charges, murder, conspiracy, conduct unbecoming, the works. Will it stick? Brennan looked her dead in the eye. With your testimony, Ortega's testimony, Reeves' recordings, and the physical evidence we've recovered, he'll die in Leavenworth. Guaranteed. Good. The word came out flat, final, not celebration, just acknowledgement that an equation had balanced. Brennan closed the file. One more thing, we need you to testify not just about Eva, about the investigation, the entrapment, the recordings. Defense will argue it was illegal, coerced, inadmissible. It was legal, training evolution, open communication. He chose to confess. You and I know that, but military defense attorneys are good at creating doubt. We need you to be better. I'll be there. It won't be easy. They'll attack your credibility, your motives, your methods. They'll paint you as a vengeful sister who broke every rule to get revenge. Let them. Truth doesn't care about motives. Brennan stood, extended her hand. Thank you, Major. What you did took courage and cost you. I want you to know we see that. Keira shook her hand, didn't respond. Courage was just another word for having no other choice. The agent left, the door closed. Keira sat alone in the interview room. Through the window, she could see Fort Irwin going through its routines. Soldiers training, vehicles moving, the machinery of military life grinding forward like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. The base that had protected predators now hunted them. The command that had buried truth now excavated it. The system that had failed 4 women now worked overtime to make it right. Too late for Eva, for Sarah, for Rita, for Amy, but maybe not too late for whoever would have been next. That thought kept her moving, kept her breathing through ribs that screamed with every inhale, kept her standing when exhaustion tried to drag her down. Make it count, Donovan had written, make it count. She was trying. The barracks felt different when she returned, quieter, like people were afraid to make noise, afraid to draw attention, afraid that speaking might make them complicit in something they'd ignored for too long. Iris was waiting outside Building 7, face tired, eyes worried. She straightened when Keira approached. "Ma'am, how did it go?" "Trial in 2 weeks. They need us to testify." "Both of us." Everyone who was there that night, everyone who heard the confession. They're building an airtight case. "Will it work?" Keira looked at the desert beyond the base. Heat waves rising, mirages forming, the landscape of lies. It better, or 4 women died for nothing. They climbed to the 3rd floor together, past rooms where soldiers slept or pretended to, past walls that had heard things people wished they hadn't. Room 12 still smelled like Eva, or maybe that was memory playing tricks. Hard to tell the difference after someone died. Iris hesitated at the door. "Can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "Do you think Eva knew, at the end? Do you think she knew you'd come, that you'd finish what she started?" Keira sat on the bed, the same springs, the same place where Eva had slept and dreamed and planned a future that never came. "I don't know. I hope so. I hope she died knowing someone would care enough to fight." Iris sat beside her, not too close, respectful of space and grief. "I found something in Eva's old emails, deleted but recoverable. She sent you a message the day before she died. Did you ever get it?" Keira's chest tightened. "No, what did it say?" Iris pulled out her phone, pulled up a recovered file. "Read it aloud." "Hey sis, things are getting complicated here. I filed the complaint like we talked about. Mercer's been called in for questioning, but I'm scared. The way Harlow looked at me today, the way Mercer smiled, like they know something I don't. If anything happens to me, I need you to know it wasn't my choice. And I need you to promise you'll ask questions. Don't let them bury this. Don't let them make me disappear. Love you, Eva." The words hung in the air like smoke, like evidence, like prophecy. Keira's hands shook, just slightly, just enough. She never sent it. The timestamp shows it was saved as draft, never transmitted. Because Mercer got to her first, that night, before she could hit send. Iris nodded. I'm sorry, I thought you should know. She was thinking of you at the end. Thank you for telling me. Iris left, closed the door quietly, left Keira alone with ghosts and promises and the weight of words never sent. She lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling, counted the cracks. 37, same as Eva's age would have been if she'd lived another 9 years. Numbers were easier than feelings, equations balanced. Math didn't lie, but it didn't comfort either. Her phone buzzed. Message from a number she recognized now, Corporal Jake Reeves. Ma'am, wanted you to know, I called my sister today. First time in 2 years. Told her I was sorry for not believing her, for not standing up when it mattered. She cried. I cried. Thank you for showing me it's never too late to do the right thing. Keira typed back, it's never too late, but earlier is better. Take care of her. The response came fast. I will, I promise. Promises, everyone made them. Few kept them. But the ones who did made all the difference. 2 weeks compressed into moments. Depositions, interviews, evidence review. The machinery of military justice grinding slow but grinding fine. Keira spent the time doing what she did best. Training, physical therapy, running until her ribs screamed and her lungs burned and the pain drowned out everything else. Pain is just noise. Signal is what matters. Her signal stayed clear. Testify, make sure Mercer pays, honor Eva's memory, then move on to the next fight. Because there would be a next fight. There always was. Evil didn't retire. It just found new uniforms and new bases and new victims who didn't know to be scared until too late. On the 13th day, Special Agent Brennan called. Her voice carried weight, the kind that came with news that changed things. Major Ashford, we've completed our investigation. You should know what we found. Go ahead. Mercer didn't work alone. We've identified a network. 5 other instructors across 3 bases, all protecting each other, all with suspicious deaths in their histories, all covered up by command staff who were either complicit or cowards. How many victims? 11 confirmed, possibly more, we're still digging. 11, the number hit like a physical blow. 11 women, 11 families, 11 futures stolen. What happens now? Simultaneous arrests. Tomorrow at 0600, coordinated across Fort Irwin, Fort Benning, and Camp Pendleton. We're dismantling the whole network. Will I need to testify at those trials too? Possibly, but your testimony here sets precedent. Win this case, the others fall like dominoes. No pressure then. Brennan's voice softened, just slightly. You've already done the hard part. You broke the silence. Everything else is just paperwork. Paperwork doesn't bring them back. No, but it prevents the next one. That's worth something. It better be. She hung up, sat in silence. 11 women, 11 Evas, all of them someone's sister, someone's daughter, someone's friend. All of them failed by a system that valued reputation over truth, order over justice, silence over screaming. Not anymore, not after this. The system would change or break. Either way, it wouldn't stay the same. The court-martial convened on a Tuesday morning. The kind of morning that promised heat and delivered. 112 degrees by 0900. The courtroom AC fought a losing battle. The military courtroom looked like every courtroom Keira had ever seen. Wood paneling, flags, the seal of military justice watching from the wall like a disappointed parent. Master Sergeant Cole Mercer sat at the defense table, dress uniform, ribbons bright, hair perfect, playing the part of the decorated soldier one last time. His attorney was a captain, Jag Corps, young, ambitious, the kind who saw high-profile cases as career opportunities. He shuffled papers, made notes, prepared to defend the indefensible because that's what the system required. The prosecution was led by a major, older, weathered, face like cracked leather. He'd seen too many cases like this, too many predators in uniform, too many victims buried in paperwork. The panel filed in. 7 officers, mixed ranks, mixed branches, faces that gave nothing away. They'd hear evidence, deliberate, decide, the machinery of justice in human form. The judge was a colonel, silver-haired, stern, the kind of face that had stopped tolerating bullshit around the same time it stopped tolerating excuses. She gavelled the court to order. This court-martial is convened to hear charges against Master Sergeant Cole Mercer. 4 counts of premeditated murder, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, conduct unbecoming. How does the accused plead? Mercer stood straight, rigid. Not guilty, Your Honor. The words echoed, flat, unconvincing. Everyone in the room knew the truth, but the system required the performance. The judge nodded. Prosecution may present opening statement. The major stood, walked to the center of the room, faced the panel. When he spoke, his voice carried authority earned through decades of service. Members of the panel, over the next 3 days you will hear evidence of a conspiracy to silence, to intimidate, to murder. You will hear testimony from witnesses who saw, who heard, who documented. You will hear recordings of the accused confessing to murder, bragging about it, and you will be asked to decide, is this the kind of soldier we want in our ranks? Is this the kind of man we protect? Or is this the kind of predator we remove? I submit the evidence will show you exactly what he is, and exactly what he deserves. He sat, the defense attorney stood, younger, less certain, but determined. Members of the panel, my client is a decorated soldier, 22 years of service, multiple combat deployments, commendations from commanders at every level. What you will hear is not evidence of guilt. It is evidence of a vendetta, a grieving sister who broke every rule of military justice to entrap my client, who recorded without consent, who manipulated a training exercise, who manufactured a confession through psychological pressure and illegal tactics. I ask you to see through the emotion, focus on the law, and recognize that even decorated soldiers deserve due process. The battle lines drawn, truth versus procedure, justice versus technicality, the oldest fight in any courtroom. Keira was called first, took the stand, raised her right hand, swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but. She told it, all of it, Eva's death, the investigation that never happened, the evidence that disappeared, the 8 months of planning, the training evolution, the confession. The defense attorney cross-examined, tried to rattle her, tried to make her admit to bias, to revenge, to breaking rules. Major Ashford, you admit you came to Fort Irwin specifically to investigate Sergeant Mercer. I came to instruct, but yes, I suspected his involvement in my sister's death. And you orchestrated an elaborate scheme to trap him. I created an opportunity for truth. He chose to confess. An opportunity you manufactured through illegal recording and psychological manipulation. The recording was legal, open training channels. All participants knew communications were monitored, and I didn't manipulate him. I simply let him speak. You let him speak after isolating him, after threatening him, after creating an environment designed to break him. I created an environment designed to train soldiers. He broke himself by being guilty. The attorney tried different angles, different attacks, but Keira had spent 8 months preparing, had run every scenario, had anticipated every question. She didn't break, didn't waver, just answered, calm, clear, unshakable. After 2 hours, the attorney gave up. No further questions. The judge looked at Keira. "You're dismissed, Major. Thank you for your testimony." Keira stood, walked back to her seat, past Mercer, past the defense table, past the man who'd killed her sister. Their eyes met, just for a second. He looked smaller now, diminished. The predator stripped of power, just a man facing consequences. She felt nothing, no satisfaction, no anger, just the cold certainty that justice was happening. Slow, imperfect, but happening. Iris testified next, described finding Eva's body, the defensive wounds, the vertical cuts that didn't match suicide, the way Harlow had pressured her to stay silent. The defense tried to paint her as traumatized, unreliable, a witness whose grief distorted memory. Specialist Chen, you were Lieutenant Strand's roommate, her friend. Isn't it possible your emotions are coloring your recollection? Iris looked at him, young, scared, but steady. My emotions don't change the facts. The cuts were vertical. The medical examiner noted it. Harlow buried it. Those are facts, not feelings. Reeves testified third, played the 11 recordings, each one more damning than the last. Mercer's voice bragging, threatening, confessing in everything but name. The defense objected. Hearsay, recorded without consent, inadmissible. The judge overruled. The recordings were made by a military member documenting potential criminal activity. They're admissible as evidence of pattern and intent. The tapes played, the courtroom listened, and with each minute the case against Mercer solidified, hardened, became undeniable. Ortega testified on day 2, broke down twice, admitted his role, his cowardice, his complicity. I helped clean the room. I knew something was wrong, but I was scared. Scared of Mercer, scared of losing my career, so I stayed quiet, and Eva stayed dead. The prosecutor asked the question everyone wanted answered. Corporal Ortega, did Sergeant Mercer kill Lieutenant Strand? Yes, sir, he told me himself. Said she'd threatened to expose him, so he handled it. Those were his exact words, handled it. The defense cross-examined, tried to establish reasonable doubt, alternative explanations, misunderstandings. But Ortega held firm. I know what I heard, I know what I saw, and I know I'll regret staying silent for the rest of my life. The medical examiner testified, explained the defensive wounds, the bruising pattern, the Ambien in Eva's system that she had no prescription for. The toxicology is clear. Someone drugged her. The wound patterns are clear. Someone held her down. The evidence is clear. This was not suicide. The defense had no effective counter, just tried to create doubt. Maybe she got Ambien from a friend. Maybe the wounds were self-inflicted in a moment of panic. Maybe. But maybe wasn't enough. Not against the weight of evidence, not against the truth. On day 3, the prosecution played the recording from Range 47, the one Iris had made, the one that captured everything. The courtroom listened to Mercer's voice, heard him confess, heard him describe drugging Eva, walking her to the shower, cutting her wrists, holding her down. The defense objected, entrapment, coercion, illegal recording. The judge denied. The accused was informed all channels were being recorded. He chose to speak. The recording is admissible. The tape played to the end. Mercer's final words, she fought harder than I expected, almost got away. Silence followed, complete, absolute, the kind of silence that comes when there's nothing left to say. The prosecution rested. The defense tried to mount a case, called character witnesses, officers who testified to Mercer's service, his dedication, his valor. But valor doesn't excuse murder. Service doesn't erase sin. The character witnesses rang hollow against the weight of 4 dead women. The defense attorney made his closing argument, passionate, desperate, asking for mercy, for consideration of years served, for understanding that good soldiers sometimes break under pressure. The prosecutor's closing was simpler, shorter, more devastating. Members of the panel, 4 women are dead, 11 more across other bases, all because men like the accused believed they were above accountability, believed their service gave them permission, believed silence would protect them. Today we prove them wrong. Today we show that justice matters more than reputation, truth matters more than convenience, and the lives of 4 women matter more than the career of one predator. I ask you to return the only verdict the evidence supports: guilty. On all counts. The panel deliberated for 6 hours. Keira spent them in a conference room down the hall, Iris beside her, Reeves nearby, all of them waiting, all of them knowing but needing to hear it official. Special Agent Brennan stopped by, sat across from them, didn't speak, just present, solidarity without words. At 1700 hours the panel returned, filed into the courtroom, faces revealing nothing, the discipline of military bearing. The judge gavelled for order. Has the panel reached a verdict? The senior member stood. A colonel, artillery, face like weathered stone. We have, Your Honor. On the charge of premeditated murder in the death of Lieutenant Eva Strand, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of premeditated murder in the death of Lieutenant Sarah Vance, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of premeditated murder in the death of Corporal Rita Moss, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of premeditated murder in the death of Staff Sergeant Amy Cole, how do you find? Guilty. 4 times, 4 women, 4 guilty verdicts, justice delivered in quadruplicate. The courtroom erupted, not loud, just movement, exhales, shoulders dropping. The release of tension held too long. Mercer sat motionless, face blank, processing, accepting, breaking. The judge continued. Sentencing will be determined tomorrow at 0900. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell, final, certain, the sound of justice done. Keira stood, walked out, Iris followed, Reeves, Brennan, all of them moving toward fresh air, toward sunlight, toward the world that continued beyond courtroom walls. Outside, the Mojave burned, heat rising off pavement, but it felt different now, cleaner, like something toxic had been removed. Iris hugged her, first time, unexpected. Keira stiffened, then softened. Let it happen. Let someone else carry weight for just a moment. We did it, Iris whispered. We actually did it. Eva did it. We just finished it. No, you finished it. You kept your promise. Keira pulled back, looked at the young specialist who'd been brave when bravery cost everything. You were brave too. Don't forget that. I won't, I promise. More promises, but these ones felt different, felt possible, felt true. Brennan approached. Congratulations, Major. This was a righteous verdict. Will the others be as clean? Now that we have precedent, yes. The other bases are already moving forward. Arrests made, trials scheduled. You started a wave. It's going to wash through the entire system. Good. There's something else. Brennan pulled out a folder. We've been authorized to create a task force. Military Sexual Assault Investigation Unit, dedicated team, cross-branch, independent oversight. They want you to lead it. Keira took the folder, looked at it, felt the weight of what it represented. Leading meant staying, meant making this her mission, her life, her purpose. I'm an instructor, not an investigator. You're both, and you're the only one who's proven willing to break the system to fix it. That's what this needs. Can I think about it? Take your time, but not too much. There are more Evas out there, and they need someone like you. Brennan left. The folder stayed, heavy with possibility, with responsibility, with the ghosts of 11 women asking for justice. Sentencing happened the next morning, swift, brutal, appropriate. Master Sergeant Cole Mercer, you have been found guilty on 4 counts of premeditated murder, additional counts of conspiracy, obstruction, and conduct unbecoming. This court sentences you to death by lethal injection. Sentence to be carried out at United States Disciplinary Barracks, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. May God have mercy on your soul, because this court has none. Death, the ultimate accountability, the final consequence. Some in the courtroom gasped, others nodded, all understood. Mercer was led away, shackled, broken, the predator caged forever. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Harlow was sentenced separately. 15 years, dishonorable discharge, forfeiture of all pay and benefits. The man who'd buried truth would spend the rest of his productive life in prison. The others received varying sentences. Ortega got immunity for cooperation. The admin personnel got 5 years each. The system slowly purged itself of those who'd enabled evil. And across the country at Fort Benning and Camp Pendleton, similar sentences fell. The network dismantled, the protection racket destroyed, 11 women avenged, future women protected. Keira stood outside the courthouse, watched the sun set over mountains that had witnessed everything: birth, death, justice, injustice, the endless cycle. Iris found her there, you leaving. Tomorrow, transport back to Little Creek, resume my regular duties. What about Brennan's offer, the task force? Keira pulled out the folder, opened it, read the mission statement. Investigate allegations of sexual assault in the military, provide independent oversight, ensure justice for victims, prevent future cases through systemic reform. It was everything Eva had wanted, everything she died trying to achieve. I don't know yet. Eva would want you to take it. Eva would want me to be happy. Can't you be both? The question hung between them. Could she? Could she spend her life hunting predators and find peace? Could she carry the weight of investigation after investigation and not break? She didn't know, but she knew she had to try. I'll take it on one condition. What's that? You come with me. I need someone who understands, who was there, who knows what we're fighting for. Iris smiled, tired, genuine. I was hoping you'd ask. They shook hands, partners now, allies, sisters in a fight that would never really end but could be won one battle at a time. The night before she left, Keira visited Eva's memorial. The base had erected it quickly, a small plaque, brass, polished, mounted on a stone near the training yard. Lieutenant Eva Strand, dedicated officer, brave soldier, her voice lives on. Simple, true, enough. Keira knelt, placed a hand on the warm metal. The desert had heated it all day. Now it radiated back like Eva's presence, constant, comforting. I kept my promise, sis. He's going to die for what he did to you, to the others, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen again, to anyone, ever. The wind picked up, desert wind, hot, dry, carrying sand and memory and the whispers of ghosts finally at rest. She stood, walked away, didn't look back. Looking back never helped. Only forward mattered, only the next fight, the next victim, the next promise to keep. Her phone buzzed, message from a Virginia area code, unknown sender. Major Ashford, my name is Rebecca Vance, I'm Sarah's mother. Special Agent Brennan told me what you did, how you fought for her, for all of them. I wanted to say thank you, and to ask if you'd come speak at Sarah's new memorial. We're replacing the suicide marker with the truth. She was murdered, and because of you, people will know. Thank you for giving us that. Thank you for caring when no one else did. Keira read it twice, felt something crack in her chest, not pain, something else, something that felt almost like healing. She typed back, "It would be an honor, send me the details." 3 more messages came in over the next hour. Rita Moss's father, Amy Cole's sister, families who'd been told lies, who'd buried daughters and wives and sisters under false narratives. All of them thanking her, all of them inviting her to speak, to remember, to honor. 4 families, 4 memorials, 4 chances to ensure the dead were remembered correctly. She accepted them all. The transport came at 0600. Keira loaded her duffel, single bag, everything she owned, everything she needed. Iris rode with her to the airstrip. They didn't talk much, just sat in comfortable silence. The silence of people who'd been through hell together and come out changed. At the gate they hugged, real this time, not awkward, just 2 people who understood each other completely. "See you in Virginia," Iris said. "See you there." The plane lifted off. Fort Irwin shrank below, desert spreading in all directions, endless, unforgiving, beautiful in its brutality. Keira watched until the base disappeared, until there was nothing but sand and sky and the horizon where they met. She pulled out her phone, opened the folder Brennan had given her, read the case files, the first assignments, the women waiting for someone to care, to fight, to finish what they'd started. 17 cases, across 8 bases, 17 women failed by the system, 17 chances to make it right. She started reading, started planning, started the work that would define the rest of her life. The work that would honor Eva's memory, not with grief but with action, not with mourning but with prevention, not with looking back but with moving forward. Pain is just noise, Donovan had written. Signal is what you do with it. Her signal was clear now, crystal, unwavering. Find the predators, expose them, stop them, protect the next victim, save the next Eva. That was the mission. That was always the mission. And she'd carry it until it killed her, or the predators ran out. The plane banked east, toward Virginia, toward headquarters, toward the beginning of something that felt like purpose. Below, the Mojave scrolled past, endless desert where things lived and died in silence, where heat killed the weak and the strong survived by adaptation. Keira had adapted, had survived, had learned to carry weight that would crush most people. And now she'd teach others, build a team, create a system that protected instead of buried, that listened instead of silenced, that honored victims instead of erasing them. It wouldn't bring Eva back, wouldn't undo 8 months of grief, wouldn't erase the scar tissue in her chest or the ghosts in her head. But it would matter, would count, would be the signal rising above the noise. And sometimes that was enough, sometimes that was everything. The plane climbed higher, the desert fell away, and Major Keira Ashford closed her eyes, not to sleep, just to rest, just to breathe, just to exist for a moment without fighting. Just for a moment, then back to work. Because the fight never ended, but neither did she. And that made all the difference. 3 months later, the memorial service for Lieutenant Eva Strand drew a crowd. Not huge, but significant, fellow soldiers, base personnel, and 4 other families whose daughters had their own new markers, their own corrected histories. Keira stood at the podium, looked out at faces that knew loss, that understood absence, that carried weight. She spoke not long, not elaborate, just truth. Eva Strand was my sister, not by blood, by choice. She chose to be kind in a world that rewarded cruelty, chose to speak when silence was easier, chose to fight for what was right even when it cost her everything. She lost that fight, but her death started something bigger. A change, a reckoning, A promise that no one else would die in silence while predators walked free. That's her legacy, not how she died, but what her death prevented. Thank you for honoring her memory, for seeing her truly, for knowing she mattered. She stepped down, placed a photo at the memorial. Eva in uniform, smiling, alive, the way she should be remembered. Rebecca Vance approached, Sarah's mother, older, worn, but eyes bright with something that looked like peace. Thank you, she said, for giving us truth, for making them pay, for caring. It's what Eva would have wanted, what Sarah would have wanted, what they all deserved. What about you? What do you want? Keira looked at the memorial, at the 4 names now, soon to be 17, eventually more, all of them connected, all of them mattering. I want to make sure this list doesn't grow. That's all, that's enough. Rebecca nodded, understood. God bless you, Major, you're doing holy work. Not holy, just necessary. Sometimes they're the same thing. Maybe, maybe not, but it was work that needed doing, and Keira had learned she was good at it, better than she'd expected, better than she'd wanted to be. The team was forming, Iris as deputy, Reeves as investigator, 3 others from different branches, all of them carrying their own ghosts, their own reasons, their own promises to keep. Together they'd already closed 4 cases, arrested 5 perpetrators, freed 6 victims from silence. It wasn't enough, would never be enough, but it was progress, and progress meant hope, and hope meant the fight was worth it. Keira drove away from the memorial as the sun set, headed back to headquarters, back to case files, back to work. Her ribs ached, always would, but the pain had become familiar, comfortable almost, a reminder that she'd survived, that she carried scars earned in honorable service, that she'd kept her promise to Eva, and to herself, and to every woman who died because the system looked away. The system was looking now, and it would keep looking, because she wouldn't let it look away. That was her promise, her mission, her life. And she'd carry it until the weight finally crushed her, or justice finally prevailed. Either way, she'd make it count. For Eva, for Sarah, for Rita, for Amy, for the 17 waiting, for the countless unknown. She'd make it count. The highway stretched ahead, straight, endless, disappearing into horizon. Keira drove into it, steady, certain, unbreakable. A ghost hunting ghosts, a survivor saving survivors, a sister keeping promises. That was enough, that was everything. And as the sun disappeared and darkness claimed the desert, she smiled. Just a little, just enough. Because somewhere in whatever place ghosts went, Eva was smiling too. Justice had been served, truth had been told, silence had been shattered. And the fight continued, would always continue, but not alone, never alone anymore. Together they'd make sure every voice was heard, every predator was stopped, every victim was honored. That was the promise, that was the mission, that was the way forward. And Keira Ashford would walk that way until the road ended or she did. Whichever came first. Her phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number, area code from North Carolina. Major Ashford, my name is Captain Jennifer Park. Fort Bragg, I've been following your case. I have 3 female soldiers here, suspicious circumstances. Command isn't listening. Can you help? Keira pulled over, typed her response. Send me everything you have. I'll be there next week. The reply came instantly. Thank you, they deserve justice. Keira put the phone down, started the engine, merged back onto the highway. 17 cases had just become 20. The work never ended. But neither did she. And that was all that mattered. I've told hundreds of military stories, but But this one hits different. What Major Ashford did wasn't just about revenge. It was about making sure no one else's sister ended up forgotten in a classified file. The hardest part to research, learning how many times this pattern repeats across bases. Predators protect predators until someone breaks the silence. What would you have done in her position? Reported through channels that already failed or taken the path she chose? Drop your thoughts below. And if this story mattered to you, there are 47 more missions waiting. Hit subscribe, you won't regret it.